Good morning, everybody. Not so good for the folks in Israel. We are live. Normally, I'm not going to greet you with a enthusiastic hello for a Sunday morning. We are back on a Sunday morning, covering this specific episode. We're going to do two today. This one will be on the war in Israel, including responses from our leadership in the government, for good and for worse. I would say the attacks began, I believe, Saturday morning Israeli time. Correct, Caitlin?
Yeah, it was way. I woke up to it. So I woke up. I actually woke
Yeah.
up late yesterday for me.
Well, I woke up to it. Obviously, they're what's 8 hours ahead or something like that. Um, Israeli time. To some horrific images coming across Twitter of kidnaps, mutilations, murders, innocent civilians shot at bus stops, women kidnapped, tortured, raped,
Children.
children. Um, to start off with, this got a little bit trending yesterday, and it's the absolute truth. We occasionally were reminded of it in situations like this. We were 20 years ago, 21 years, 22 years ago.
20. Yeah, 22.
Yeah. The While I have many differences of opinion with Sam Harris, he said it best. One side uses human shields. One side sees that as a deterrent. So we're dealing with savages, and that's what they are. They're savages. Okay, these are brutal people who do not subscribe to Western civilization and the values that it purports to uphold. They're evil. Anybody telling you otherwise is naive or has an agenda. And we're going to get into that agenda in a second. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm a bit angry. I'm a bit angry at our leadership, especially here in Massachusetts. Caitlin, why don't you take it from here?
Um, okay. Yeah, no, I woke up to the news in Israel, children and women being tortured, murdered in the street, desecrated afterward, publicly and put online. The footage in the news is just horrifying. It's a surprising intel failure for Israel. Israel has good intel. They have a good intelligence apparatus, and it's also an intel failure for the United States. So Israel is at war, and so they haven't been at war since the 70s, since my dad was in high school. My dad remembers Munich happening, and we talked about it recently while he was up here. Because I like to talk with my parents about things that have happened in the past that have been, and how did they feel about it, that have been not so great on history, right? History is filled with a lot of good things, a lot of progress, but it's also filled with a lot of horrifying things. And what happened to the Israeli Olympic team at the Munich Olympics in 1972 was horrifying. Um, and they haven't been at war since, was it the Yom Kippur War, correct? In the
Well,
70s?
I
Or
mean,
it,
here's the thing about that. This conflict obviously has been going on for a very long time, and a few
but it's the
years.
difference between a conflict and an escalation to war.
Yeah,
So this is what the Israelis voted on this morning, was that they are going to war.
a true declaration of war. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that. I guess there is a difference. There was, I want to say, the 10-day war, and I have to look up when that took place. And why don't I just search it right now? Let's do 10-day war. This was, I think. No, I'm getting Yugoslavia. Jeez. All right. Sorry. I thought let me do Israel. There we go. All right. There was the 6-Day War in '67. Yeah, I'm not. It's the feed is just doing today's, the more recent news. Anyway,
Yeah.
there have been these flare ups from time to time. The Intifada, it happens every few years. Where I don't think it's been this well planned and well timed and well executed in terms of the volume. There every few years there'd be rocket attacks from Gaza, rocket attacks from Lebanon. Hamas would do this with the backing of the Iranians.
They apparently have the same offices as the AP in Gaza. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yep. Again, human shields, right? Because it's like that,
Well, they
one
do
side
it on.
uses human shields, one side sees it as a deterrent to their action. So it's very clear, cut and dry. But for this one, it has been, as I grow older and hopefully wiser, it is abundantly clear to me that the naivete of even the center-left liberals of the can't we all just get along and the peace, well, and of course peace and de-escalation only comes from one side, right? The only way to deal with these types of people is to eliminate them. They will always crop up. They will always be there. But you can reduce their numbers, and you can reduce the number of people who are sympathetic to them and reduce the number of people that are willing to take up arms on their side. And you do that by removing them from planet Earth. Full stop. You don't need...
So
you have... Yeah.
my personal opinion on this is I saw center left liberals yesterday horrified by what happened, but I saw them equally horrified by, I guess, extreme leftist rhetoric online about decolonization and revolution and all of this. And it's like, yeah, man. Yeah. We've been saying this for fucking centuries now. Like centuries on like violent anarcho-socialist revolution rhetoric.
Yeah.
And now y'all finally get it because some like
they don't get it.
Like,
they're just appalled.
are being tortured. Like it's like how many times, like it's like the Bird Box meme where they have like the thing over their eyes. It's like these people are going to stand up for the terrorists because they believe that the Israelis are colonizers within Israel, the entire country. We don't need to talk about areas. We don't need to talk about, they think that they are colonizers in the Levant.
Yep. This is you nailed it. And this is what they view the world through the lens of oppressor and oppressed, and that is
historical materialism.
And they justify
the economy, and it is just like they are so ahistorical to what has actually happened in this area that they really don't think past, when it comes to history of this area, past the British leaving during World War II, right? Because do people kind of know this, that like in British Palestine, that like there were Jews, there were Muslim, Arabs, all these different groups, they all think that they have like rights to this area because of like religious symbolism and all this other stuff, Christians, all this other stuff. And the British were involved in this area after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. And so, they really can't think past, because the Ottoman Empire was so encompassing, past this time frame where they think that the Palestinians have this like lock hold on Israel. They think that they should really have the entire country. And it's like, no, it is disputed. And it's more disputed than you want to believe it's disputed.
Well, it's been disputed literally for thousands of years. So it's like to lay claim for it. But to go back to where we are now, they view the world through oppressor and oppressed, and they are the oppressed no matter how good their lives are, and somebody is oppressing them. Okay? So they justify this violence. Here's the thing. Maybe I won't say that they're completely okay with it, but they're sort of okay with it. And you see that with the statements of AOC, and we're going to get into some of these in a second, Lawrence Tribe, Ayanna Pressley. there is a permission in their language that, well, okay, yeah, we didn't want this to happen. We didn't want innocent people to be slaughtered. But you know what? You kind of asked for it because you're oppressors. Like, this is their mindset. This is what they think. And there's no getting around it. There's no negotiating with people like that. They just don't see it that way. You have to expose them. You have to make sure that you get to them and you say, our values are superior to your values. Like, what you think is wrong, you need to go. Okay? They need to go. They need to be voted out of office, exposed for who they are, called to the carpet for what they believe, and made sure that people understand that. And the center-left liberals are too afraid to do that. They're cowards.
Yeah. So
that's why Gretchen Whitmer, with her mealy-mouthed statement.
Oh, that was terrible. I mean, I do have I do have center-left friends. Like, we live in Massachusetts. Like, I touch grass every day, guys. I have friends that are liberals, okay? When they are kind of like shocked over like Whitmer's statement, it's like, but that is your side. Like,
so let me
Michigan has a lot of huge Muslim communities, and she was trying to pander to these Muslim communities. And I kind of sort of, there are Muslims that do not agree with what's going on right now. They're standing for peace. They vehemently oppose Hamas. They oppose all terrorist groups, and they oppose the fundamentalism of their religion that is causing such violence. They do oppose that. Okay, so it was just clueless and aloof, and it caused more pain with that aloofness than was necessary.
Yes, a good point.
And it's that sort of dangerous aloofness where we need to be straightforward about who the enemy is here, who the combatant is here, who is the oppressor here. The oppressor is actually Hamas. They're killing people. They're torturing children.
You bring up a good...
And that sort of stuff with modern liberals is what makes you look stupid and just silly. She looked silly. She looked dangerously silly and naive.
And it was insulting to the Muslim communities in her state. Because when you do this, and I'll read the statement, I have been in touch with communities impacted by what's happening in the region. It is abhorrent. My heart is with all those impacted. We need peace in this region. So it's, the intentional avoidance. If you're worried about angering Muslim communities about this in your state because you might Sure.
So this is breaking news. On ABC News, Secretary of State Tony Blinken said the elderly woman seen dragged by Hamas in her wheelchair is a Holocaust survivor.
All right. You want to stop? We can stop.
No, we can go.
You sure? It's okay.
I just can't imagine going through that hell and then going through this again. Because after the Holocaust, Israel was supposed to be seen as this place for like Jewish people to go after the horrifying, the horrifics of the Holocaust. And then they just get dealt with this time after time. And then you see American leftists call for a ceasefire. And it's like, there is no ceasefire that is going to happen right now.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely clueless. And I want to expose a couple of people here for who they are. I got a lot of traction on this, my response. Lawrence Tribe. Let's do him first in the order of which this happened. Now, Mr. Tribe, I'm going to put this on screen. Mr. Tribe deleted this tweet because he's a fool and a coward, but it's good that we know who he is. So Lawrence Tribe yesterday, is Netanyahu wagging the dog of war to take attention away from his own war on the independent judiciary? Can anyone put that past him? Now this guy, so my response, thank you for showing us who you have been all along, sincerely.
Yeah, man. Like,
So this man, I mean, I think he lives around here, Kaitlin, right? Like he's, I mean, he's a
I think he
Harvard.
was,
Sorry.
yeah, he's a Harvard professor,
Yeah,
right?
Harvard law professor. I mean, look, he's gone off the rails, but people still on the left sort of take him seriously and his ramblings. This is academia. This is the left. This is the hard left, the institutional left. They are bigger in numbers than they ever have been. Your center left liberals like Bill Maher or something are Bill Maher might be the only one who like calls this kind of shit out, but everybody else is a coward. This is the pure. I struggle with how much of it is anti-Semitism and how much of it is viewed through the oppressed lens, right? Like what dominates their mindset. But I think it's fair to say that it's grotesque either way. These people are out of their fucking minds. And you have to stop voting for them. You have to stop listening to them. They are part of the problem, okay? And it's very clear when you when you start to actually have an intelligent conversation with with somebody who knows what's happening, what the comparison is. And then you have people like I'm just going off the top of my head right now. Dave Smith, comedian, libertarian comedian, attacking Ron DeSantis yesterday. I mean, Dave Smith, this is why I fucking hate libertarians. Again, the libertarians, by the way, libertarians they are part of the left. They are not libertarians. They just don't like taxes, and they used to want to smoke weed. Well, guess what? Weed's legal.
Yeah, they're leftists who hate taxes and like guns. Like, it's just,
yeah, that's it.
And I know actual leftists who like hate taxes and like guns. They're like hick lib populists up in Maine. Like these people are just fucking silly,
unserious clowns. And we're gonna cover this in the next episode. I think we're gravitating towards a more serious world. Biden is not a serious person. Biden's staff is not serious. AOC is not a serious person. Neither is Ayanna Pressley. And I'm going to put up her statement right now. This from Ayanna Pressley yesterday. These devastating attacks on Israelis are deeply alarming, and my heart breaks for the victims and their loved ones. I mean, believe it or don't believe it, I don't know. We need an immediate ceasefire and de-escalation. It is long past time to stop this cycle of violence and trauma and work toward a just and lasting peace in the region. Notice who has to de-escalate, Ayanna? Because Friday, everybody was sipping wine and having a nice day. And then Saturday morning, somebody launched an attack. That was Hamas. That was Islamic fundamentalist terrorists. Somebody's at fault.
We're here again. We're here again with like the fun. Like the thing is like we're here again with the Islamic fundamentalist terrorist groups. We're here again.
It's gonna happen. They're not going away.
We have had the baby gloves on for Hamas for decades, whereas we tried to flatten ISIS and Al Qaeda. What is the difference here? Well, the difference is that Hamas's style of fighting and using human shields. But it's just, why are we putting the baby gloves on for the PA and Hamas?
Weak leadership. Weakness in leadership. That's the answer. You have Netanyahu, I won't say is weak. I think he's pretty strong. But we have weak leadership here in America. I mean, does Joe Biden project strength? I mean, that's a joke. Nobody even would. Biden and strength are words that you don't hear together. You have Ayanna with hers, which her de-escalation, right? There's an attack on Israel by Hamas, and she's calling for a ceasefire and de-escalation. So what, Kaitlin, you told me this morning? Yeah. So they slaughter 600 people, and Israel needs to de-escalate.
600 human bodies
Yep.
and we have to call for a ceasefire because apparently we're the aggressors? No,
Yeah.
no. This is a justified war. This is a justified war. In
Absolutely.
my opinion, it is a justified war. Israel was attacked. Their people were tortured. Hamas is committing war crimes.
The cluelessness, and you really are seeing who these people are. Okay, so like, look, Ayanna Pressley and AOC and the rest of the squad, Lawrence Tribe, they want the destruction of Western civilization. Again, view through the lens of oppressed and oppressors. That's it. That's what they do. That's how they think. And they're never going to change their mind. They can only get voted out and their ideas be, as the saying goes, put to the dustbin of history. The last one I'm going to put up, this is just clueless, is presidential candidate Nikki Haley. This is from her Twitter account, so I'm not misquoting anything here. From Nikki Haley's Twitter, last night, 11:03 p.m. This is not just an attack on Israel. This was an attack on America. Finish them, Netanyahu. They should have hell to pay for what they have just done. Well, I agree with most of it. But
I agree with the concept of finish them. I do not agree that this is an attack on America. Okay.
It's not.
We need to be very clear about who our allies are, and we should stand strong with them. We don't have a military treaty with them saying that if they go to war that we come and with our power, our very hard power, defend Israel. So we need to be very careful on that kind of stuff. But we can stand strong with Israel because they are the most democratic country in the Middle East and they share our values. And we want the rest of the Middle East to start sharing our values because the country that causes the most trouble in the Middle East is Iran. So I think Republican candidates for president right now just need to hammer home that the Biden administration is making mistakes because they are. This is an intel failure on the United States intelligence apparatus along with the Israeli one. We can be clear about that. It was not the best statement. I think that actually Ron DeSantis had the best statement where he was said, just get their asses.
Yeah.
And
Vivek
destroy. Basically, he was like, just destroy Hamas, which is good because I want Republicans. I'm tired of this new right bullshit where they're like both sides, and it's like, no, kill the terrorists, destroy.
That's a good point as well. The new right, these populist, isolationist,
you can't be isolationist unless your country is strong. Right. You can't do that. Now you all argue that our country is weak, and we cannot be isolationist until our country is strong. Even back when we were actually isolationists, probably FDR from I guess the progressive time after World War I to FDR when we actually had to because of the economic havoc of the Great Depression and all of that. Our country was stronger because we were focusing on our industrial base. We're not doing that right now. And that is actually a huge policy issue for me because I see only Republicans talking about the lack of stockpiles that we have and our inability to really fill them quickly, which is an actual national security issue. And I see leftists being like, if you bring this up, you hate Ukraine. And it's like, I really don't hate Ukraine. And then you see the new right both siding the issues, and it's like,
well, because here's the thing: there's a part of the new right that hates America too. They do. They have. It's to a less severe degree than the hard left, obviously, but they think their mindset is like, yeah, but we kind of deserve it, right? Like it's our fault. We're doing it. You see it with the libertarians. There's a lot of bleed over in that Venn diagram. And there is in my opinion, a silent majority that gets all this stuff, that understands what caused major conflicts and that you have to execute hard power. against people who are causing problems. There are problem causers like Russia and Iran and Hamas, and there's a linkage there. Don't have time to get into that, but people get that. People understand that. In their core, they get it. They understand that we have enemies. And the naive new right doesn't get that. They just think that it's all something that we can control from here in the U.S. And it's like, no, we're not an omnipotent
Or they
power.
think that our within the world causes hatred.
Yeah.
No, they don't. Yeah. Okay. We didn't cause this fundamental and Muslim resurgence. This is caused by religious scholars within the Middle East that decided to go back into this fundamentalist form of Islam. If you've even studied the history of Islam, you could see what they contributed to even Western thought on mathematics or even liberalism in some aspects. And you look at maybe even Saudi Arabia today, while still having issues, is trying to progress in the world so that they become a major player in the oil, more so with oil. It's like
I'll wrap up with this. Of the four significant, I won't even say major, but significant GOP players or candidates for president, Vivek, representing the new right, was weeks ago calling for defunding of aid to Israel, now lying about it. So he's clearly part of the clueless crowd. He doesn't get shit. He the smarmy giddy up idiocy of a really enthusiastic millennial. It's stupid. Nikki Haley, it was not an attack on America. Just the worst political instincts on these things. Nobody. And here's the thing, you can get it now. She opens herself up from attacks from the right on that. It's like it wasn't an attack on America. Now you're going to get that neocon label of war because of that.
Yeah, they're going to war. Israel's going to war. They were attacked. They are going to war. I'm so sorry. They were attacked and 600 people died and were tortured. Children are being tortured. This is a war crime. They are going to war. Yeah. You're going to need to get over your neocon label that means fucking nothing. It means nothing. Neoconservatism means people who with a foreign policy opinion that we should go into other countries and spread American democracy. I do not want to spread American democracy in Israel or the Middle East. I want to just take out terrorists. I don't think you understand. My foreign policy point of view is actually more hardcore than the neocons. I just when Trump took out Soleimani, I cheered. You want to know why? Because it reset deterrence. Soleimani went from Iran into Iraq and had a group of people attack our embassy. He became a military combatant in a in a field of war.
And he's a pile of meat. He was liquefied. It's great.
Human salsa. It was great. That was Trump's best thing that he ever did, minus making sure they got the ISIS killer who again used his own children as human shields, because that's what these people do. Yeah.
And Trump's statement was all over the place. Or his response, I should say. DeSantis came in on point with what I won't even say what the majority of the GOP is thinking, but what the majority of Americans are thinking. Because even, a lot of Democrats get it. They might be too scared to say it because the hard left will come after them, but they get it. There were some normal statements yesterday. And for those people who were willing to, just stick to their common sense, good for them, at least on the Democratic side. All right. Say a prayer for Israel. Not much else to cover, at least from my end. Do you have anything else?
No. Just keep Israel in your thoughts. I think that this is going to escalate and get worse before it gets any better. We're going to see a huge response from Israel, so don't be surprised. Right now, the ruling party in Israel is pretty right wing and pretty good on defense of the country. So Gaza is going to see a response. Probably not ready for the scale of the response because I don't think that we have seen Israel unleash what they have, what their capability is. Because we really haven't seen that in a long time. They've been really holding back every single time they've done missile strikes and all of that on Gaza. And so I think we're going to really see them pummel Gaza, and I don't think the world is prepared for that. And again, that is a proportional response to what happened.
Absolutely.
And that is my opinion.
All right.
So please keep Israel in your thoughts. Keep Israel in your thoughts. Everybody who is currently being held, who are kidnapped and tortured, for the dead, keep them in your prayers because this is going to get worse before it gets better. And so yeah.
All right. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Going to take a quick break. Do have some other stuff to cover on. We're going to do another episode, cover last week's happenings in politics. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.